Hello guys, welcome to my channel. Today I'll show you how to draft and cut a double-breasted suit. This is a double-breasted suit. I'm going to show you how to cut a double-breasted suit, double vent and a peak lapel. It's quite easy. Just stick with me to the end of this video and you'll learn it. So if you've not subscribed, please hit the subscribe button and let's get into it. So guys, the first thing we are going to do is to mark 2.5 inches away from the tip of our fabric. Remember, what you are sewing is a double-breasted suit, and you know in a double-breasted suit the right pattern of the front overlaps on the left pattern, so this 2.5 inches creates a room for the overlapping. All right, so that's why we are leaving this 2.5 inches. So all our measurements is going to start from this 2.5 inches. So just assume the 2.5 inches is not there and let's start our measurements from this line. Okay, and our top is going to be straight. If it was the fabric that the top is not straight, you are going to draw a straight line, but it's straight. Okay, so to get our box frame, we are going to get the width. To get the width of our box frame, we are going to add 14 inches to the chest measurement and divide it by 2. In this case, 38 plus 14 divided by 2 will give us 26. So we are going to add mark our 26 at the top there, and we'll mark it at the bottom so that we'll get 2 points to draw our straight line. Alright, so in this width is where our patterns is going to stay on. That's our front pattern, our back pattern, and our middle pattern. Okay, so this is our the width. This is how to get the width. It's quite easy and straight to the point. Okay, so we rule our line now. Go ahead and rule our line. So as you can see, the use of my ruler right here. As we move forward, you are going to see the use of our curves and every other thing I mentioned that we will need. Okay, so the next thing we are going to do is to get the height of our box frame, and to get the height of the box frame we are going to add 1.5 to the full length, and then we'll add another 2 inches seam allowance. Okay, so our length is 28 plus 1.5 is 29.5, and then we add 2 inches for the seam allowance or for the folding allowance of our suit bottom. Right, so our length is 28 plus 1.5, 29.5, and then we'll add 2 inches to it, which will give us 31.5, there about here, 31.5. So the same thing we'll do here, 28 plus 1.5, 29.5 plus 2, 31.5. Then we rule our lines. We connect the two lines. Like that. Connect the two lines. So what is a box frame? Box frame is a container where all the patterns is being drawn. That is the front pattern, the side pattern, and the back pattern. So you don't need to be doing guesswork. All your patterns are going to fall into this place with accurate measurement. Okay, so that's what a box frame is. So this is a box frame. We've gotten our width and we've gotten our length. Okay, so we are going to have a front pattern here, and then our back pattern here at the back, and then the middle pattern. Okay, so the next we are going to get is to get our chest line or bust line, and to get our box line we are going to use our bicep measurement, and we're going to divide our bicep by 2, and then we'll add 2 inches. In this case our bicep is 13. When we divide 13 by 2 we'll get 6.5. When we add 2 to 6.5 we're going to get 8.5. Okay, so let's do that. So 13 divided by 2 is 6.5 plus 2 is 8.5, like I said earlier. So you mark it and you rule your lines. Here you go. The next thing, we are going to get our tummy line, and to get the tummy line, you add 1.5. Remember, when we are taking measurement, we took half length measurement, that is from your shoulder to your tummy. So you are going to add 1.5 to that measurement. In this case, 16 plus 1.5 is 17.5. So let's go ahead and take that measurement, 17.5 right there. Take it to the back, and you also measure 17.5, and then you connect the two lines. Okay, connect them. Okay, so let me just apologize, right? So my pen is not showing so clearly. Sorry, you have to stretch yourself to see the lines I'm drawing. Please, you should pardon me. So after that, the next thing we are going to start doing, we are going to start with the back pattern. We're going to get the back pattern first. Okay, so at that tip, we are going to take out 1/4 inch, that's 0.25. Just measure it, 0.25. just measure a line of about 2 inches long. Then from the tip, you measure the depth of your neck. Back neck is 1.5, and then the width is 3.5, and your 3.5 is starting from that 0.25 mark. So this is your 3.5. So you create a curve to join them, but let me just use my freehand curve for the neck. So you create a curve like that. That is the back neck. It's quite easy. Okay, so the next thing you're going to get is our shoulder measurement. Remember, the width of the neck is 3.5 and the depth is 1.5. okay, so our measurement for the shoulder is also going to start from that 0.5 mark. Our shoulder is 17 divided by 2 is 8.5 plus half inch seaming allowance. Okay, so on that mark, you go down by 2.5. Remember, the shoulder slant is 2.5. It's a standard, it's 2.5 for whatever size you are sewing, is 2.5. So you connect from that 2.5 mark to the tip of your neck. Okay, so the next thing you're going to do is go down to the tummy line, take out 1 inch there, and then you connect the 1 inch to our seam allowance like this. There you go. Now what is left is from your bust line to your neck, to the tip of your neck. You are going to divide what's left, which is in this case is 7. The middle is 3.5. So you connect the middle line to that line there that we just created now. There you go. Then you connect that middle line using our curve to the neck, 0.25 we created earlier. So you can see the use of this curve. Okay, you can see it's giving us the shape of how a human back is. Okay, so you can see at the end of the day, your suit is going to follow just as your body is. So from that mark that our new line created, you are going to measure our shoulder without any sewing allowance, and then we go in by half. That means our shoulder divided by 2 is 8.5. You mark it there, and then you go in by half, and then we use our pattern master and create the armhole for the back pattern. Okay, there you go. So that's our armhole for the back pattern. So the next thing is go to the seam allowance, divide the shoulder by 2, which is 8.5. Then you minus 1 inch from that, which will give you 7.5. All right. Then for the tummy, back tummy pattern, you divide the tummy measurement by 6, which will give you 5.166666. So you approximate it to 5.25 plus your half inch will give you 5.75. okay, so that's 5 1/4 plus 5 plus 0.5, 5.75. Then you connect this line to our armhole, like so. Connect it to our armhole, and then we roll the line like that. So this is our back pattern. That is all about the back pattern, guys. You can see how easy it is. Alright guys, so this is just the drafting part I'm showing you here on YouTube for free. I have a comprehensive course on Telegram, as you can see on your right, where I teach how to make a double-breasted suit from the drafting down to the finishing. Here on Telegram, you can see them topic by topic, about 18 to 20 videos on Telegram. You might want to join this opportunity. The course used to be 15,000 naira, but I'm giving it out for 5,000 naira. So just I'll leave my number in the description of this video. Just go to the video of the description of this video and send me a message on WhatsApp and register and start learning. So let's continue this tutorial. So we'll be using the back pattern to get the front pattern. Remember, this 2.5 inches for overlapping. Every measurement is going to start from that line, that 2.5 inches line. Okay, so what we are going to do now, I want to get the depth, the width of the front neck. Okay, so we'll be using the back pattern to get the front pattern, just like every other thing. Remember, when you are sewing a trouser, it's the same thing. When you are sewing a shirt, it's the same thing. You use the front pattern, you use one of the patterns to get the other pattern. In this case, you are using the front pattern, you are using the back pattern to get the front pattern. And you know, whatever you are sewing, the back pattern is always longer than the front pattern. So for a suit, the back pattern is longer than the front pattern by ½ inch. So as you can see, I've subtracted ½ inch from the top. So we are going to use the width of our back neck to get the width of our front neck. Remember, the width of our back neck is 3.5 inches. So whatever you get, you are going to add 1.5 to it. So in this case, 3.5 plus 1.5 is 5. So you add another 5 and you roll the line downwards like that. Sorry, I'm moving fast, but then it's a video, you can always backtrack and watch again. So that is the width of our front extended downward. So we measure the neck, the shoulder measurement, which is 6 inches. In this case, 6 inches. So from the tip of the shoulder to the tip, from the tip of the shoulder around the neck to the tip of the shoulder around the armhole, will give us 6. So you subtract ½ inch from the 6, which will give you 5.5. Then you also extend it downwards like that. Then you rule your line. Okay, now from this tip, remember the shoulder slant of the back was 2.5, so you are also going to measure 2.5. Remember, we subtracted ½ inch, so it's going to start from that line, 2.5. So you connect the tip of the neck here to the tip of that 2.5 I just marked. Okay, then you rule your line like that. So this is our shoulder now. So remember, this was 5.5, just like our shoulder here. 6. This was 5.5, but here is going to give us 6.5 when we slant it. If we put it straight, it's 5.5. When we slant it, it's 6 inches. Alright, this looks like magic, but it's not. Okay, then on this part, this middle part, we are going to measure 2 inches here and then 2 inches down, which is a constant, 2 inches by 2 inches. Okay, then we subtract 3 inches from the back piece. Subtract 3 inches from the back piece like that, and just like the back pattern, we go out by half and then we go up by half. So we are going to get something like this, just like the back pattern. So we are going to connect our dots, that 2 inches to that back 3 inches we created, and then we create a curve to connect the 2 inches on the that went down and plus the 2 inches that went this my side and then to the shoulder point up there. So we connect it with a curve. You can see the use of our curves. Of course, at times I use freehand to do this, but you don't have to stress yourself when you have a curve. Okay, so there you go, guys, our armhole for the front piece. So remember here we minus 3 inches. We also do the same thing for down, 3 inches. Okay, 3 inches, and then we get the middle, which is half inches, half, 1.5 here, 1.5 there. Okay, then we remember our back we had 5.25. then we, from our measurements here, we measure 1 inch for button allowance. Remember our 1 inch now plus the 2.5 we left is going to make it 3.5. So our suit at the end of the day is going to overlap by 3.5 instead of 2.5 that we left. So we're going to put our 5.25 on that 1 inch mark, and then we get our stomach or tummy, which is 31.5 divided by 2 is 31.5 divided by 2 is 31 divided by 2 will give us 15.5. 15.5, we add 2 to it to give us 17.5. Then we connect that 17.5 to the armhole there. Okay, and then we connect it down to our 3 inches mark we marked there. So you can see, guys, we've gotten our front pattern, our side pattern, and then the back pattern as well. Front pattern, this is the front pattern, this is the back pattern, and this is the side pattern, all in our box frame. Okay, so let me just write it. This is the front pattern, this is the side pattern, and then this is the back pattern. Quite easy. So remember, this is half for the back pattern, this is half for the front pattern. So the depth of our vent depends on how you want it to be. Different brands have different measurement they use. Some want it to be very, very long, some want it to be just shallow. Okay, so you measure, remember down is 1.5 and 1.5, so you put 1.5 here, even though you have more than enough space for 2 by 2. So you just maintain your 1.5 by 1.5 and you draw your line to get your vent. So that is your 1.5 there, and this is my 1.5 for the back pattern there. That's it. So the next thing we are going to do is to mark 1/2 inch there, come down and mark 1.5. all these are constants, and then here you mark 3/4 and another 3/4. That's all in all 1.5. Okay, so you connect the 1/2 inch at the armhole, you connect it to this, the first 3/4, and then to that 1.5 at the seam allowance. Connect it like this, and then you connect the tummy line point to the other point there. So this is our now half, this is our now center piece or middle or side pattern. Okay, so the level of our side pocket, also depends how low you want it to be or how high you want it to be. So for this case, I'm going to use 19. So you mark it, draw your line. Now from this point, this intersection, you are going to join it to this point. Remember, I measured 1 3/4 and 3/4 and then 3/4 again. So the second 3/4, you are going to join it to the intersection our pocket line created, and then to the back to that half-inch mark that we marked at the armhole initially, like that. So that is just to create a shape. We are going to cut that part out and throw it away, just to create a shape by the side. Okay, so this is our pocket. So to get the pocket of the chest, we are going to measure 1/4. This 1/4 is not a constant, it changes, it varies with the size of the suit. Okay, but the size of the pocket of the chest pocket is 4 for almost every size. If you want it to slant, you measure 1/2 inch downwards and 1/2 inch upwards, then you slant it, but I always want mine to be straight. Okay, so this is it. The size of my chest pocket is 4 inches. So when you measure 1/4 from that side, you now measure 4 inch from there. So this is the size of my chest pocket. Okay, so the next thing we are going to do is we are going to get the middle dart, the front dart. You are going to divide the chest by 2, and on that middle part you measure 4 inches downwards. Then you roll the line downwards like that. From that 4 inches mark, you roll it downwards, and then you go 1/4 inch on both sides. So you roll it straight to the tummy line, straight, and then you slant it to the tip of our dart, like that. That's it. So we are going to cut off this part also and throw it away. The usefulness of this is to create a shape at the front pattern. So this is where our pocket is going to fall on. So let me just draw it for you to see how our pocket is going to be. You can see the curve. There you go. So you can see our front piece is already coming out the way we want it to be. So the next thing we are going to do is to get our lapel. To do that, you are going to measure 1/3 from the tip of our neck there, and then here depends on how deep you want it to be. Really, it doesn't have a particular measurement, so I'm going to use 4 inches here. Then you connect the lines like that. Then you measure 3/4 inches at the tip there. From the tip you measure 3/4 inches. Then you connect this line to your tummy line like that. Connect it to your tummy line to get our lapel. So you can see it. This is 3/4, so we are also going to measure 3/4 from our line here, 3/4 from our lapel line, and you connect it to the tip of our neck like that. Guys, I know this is hectic, but after you tried it once or twice or thrice, you understand that it's actually easy. Alright, so you can be watching the video while drafting yours. It's quite easy. So as you can see, our lapel is fatter than we want it to be, so we can just reduce the length of our lapel. However, if you want it this fat, there are suits where the lapel is very fat, you can just leave it like that. Alright, but of course, me, I want mine to be slim. I love slim lapels, so I'm going to leave it at 3.5. So I'll just reduce it like that. Okay, so I'll just cut it off so that we'll see what I mean. Just cut it off. There you go. So here I'm going to measure 2.5 inches. And then for the height of my peak, it's a peak lapel. That's what I'm trying to draft now, the peak. So you draw it up like that. The width of the peak is 2.5 by 3 inches. also it's not a constant, depending on how you want it to be. So this is how to draft. This is the front pattern. You know, if it was a normal suit, it's going to have a cuff here, but a double-breasted, we are going to leave it this way. Okay, so we are going to cut out this part, all this part shading. We are going to cut them out. You can see this is our front pattern, side pattern, and back pattern all at once. We cut them at once. Okay, it's quite easy. So we just go ahead and cut it out. We're also going to cut out that part. So guys, this part that I'm cutting now, this particular part I'm cutting, when you are cutting, don't throw it away. You're going to need it when you are drafting your collar. You see, I threw mine away, but when you are cutting this part I threw away, don't throw it away, keep it, you need it. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and fast forward every part and you see how it is. So this is my side piece, and then this is my front piece or pattern. So we cut out this part so that we can have space to cut off that. There you go. So on this part, make sure it exceeds that middle line by half. Exceed this by half. Then on this part, you are going to cut off 1/2 inch and then slant it upwards like that. You can see it. This way it is. So this is our front pattern, this is our side pattern, and then that's our back pattern right there. So I'll just go ahead and cut it out. So for this back piece, instead of cutting it exactly on our line, we're going to leave out 1/2 inch, which is for seaming allowance at the back there. And there you go. So this is our suit here, the front, the middle, and the back. Okay, so on this our bust line, we are going to notch that part there. That's our notch. Alright, so when we go forward, you see the use of the notch. Okay, so the next thing we are going to do now is we are going to measure our armhole of the front. And how you do that is you arrange your patterns like that and you measure around. Okay, so remember, you are going to leave 1/2 inch for sewing allowance. You are going to join the front of the back by 1/2 inch. So you measure out that 1/2 inch. So you start your measurement like this. You just go around. Just go around like that, and you stop at that mark, which is 20 inches. Okay, this is 20 inches. Let me just write it here, 20 inches. So you see the use when we get to the sleeve drafting. So the next one we're going to do now is we are going to cut the interfacing for the front pattern. So this is how to do it. You just put your front pattern on a fabric. I usually like to put something on it to hold it together so it doesn't shift while I'm cutting. So I'll just go ahead and fast forward it. So guys, that is my interfacing. So that's that about that. So the next thing we'll go on to do now is to see how to cut the sleeves, which is quite easy as well. So thank you guys for watching.